With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Assalamu alaikum and welcome to the Single Muslim Live, sponsored by SingleMuslim.com with me, Nazia Khatun. We're live here on Sky 752, across Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Wherever you're watching, a very warm welcome. You too can join in tonight's discussion and get advice by simply calling through the studio on 01924 231083. Standard rates apply, so please make sure you have the bill payer's permission before calling, or why not share your thoughts with us on WhatsApp in confidence by messaging us on 07950797017. Today's guest is Jennifer Ogunyemi, and the topic is about the life of a female entrepreneur. Assalamu alaikum, Jennifer.
Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for having me today.
No, thank you so much for coming on the show. First of all, Eid Mubarak. How was your Eid yesterday?
It was hot. The day before it was hot. It was tiring, but it was still enjoyable.
Wow, but I feel like this Eid has been so colorful, so bright, and it was just a vibe. But I wanted to speak to you today about yourself. I had a look at your Instagram page, and I fell in love with you as an individual as soon as I connected with you. So I'm just so honored to be speaking to you today. So before I come on to, Jennifer runs the largest community of Muslim business for females in the UK, something I feel like I wish we had many, many years ago. And she is doing an amazing job with it. But I'm going to let Jennifer tell us a little bit about herself and just introduce herself and what she does.
Thank you, Nazia. And as you rightly said, my name is Jennifer, and I am the founder of the largest female entrepreneurial platform in Europe. We're also an award-winning platform, and we support Muslim women with building and starting businesses by providing networking events, courses, and workshops to really help them grow and thrive in their businesses. Other than that, I'm a mum of 4. So a wife, and as you rightly said in the beginning, just a really busy woman, but it's a humbling busy, you know. So, but yeah, so far all the hats that we wear we're doing all right.
I call you the super mom. I mean, Jennifer is a mom of 4. She runs a house. She's a wife. She's got many, many hats on. And the reason why I wanted to bring Jennifer on is to inspire females out there. I know I speak a lot about, we've actually covered a lot of topics in regards to marriages, divorces, mental health, men's mental health. But I wanted to bring something unique today and understand that we can actually do these kind of things that we don't see as role models every day in our everyday life. Jennifer, what inspired you to come up with this concept, by the way?
It's really funny because before I actually started it, I remember writing my iPhone notes that I wanted to create a group of women that would come together, celebrate each other, and just support each other. But the main reason what really started it was the fact that I had a failing business just before. I had started this business up, I had all this stock, I launched, and I had sold nothing. I was completely crushed. I didn't know what to do. I didn't know who to depend on. You know, all those emotions that come up. I was also 6 months pregnant, so the emotions were completely heightened. But that was the start of Sisters in Business.
Wow. So everything happens from an idea. Everything happens from a moment. Were you married at the time when this business concept started?
Yes. So I've been happily married, alhamdulillah, for 16 years. And yeah, I was married, and he's an entrepreneur himself. But I always say that, you know, it's like learning to drive with your partner. Do you get what I mean? Like, you fight and you argue and you do all of that. And I think just when you're in that tunnel vision mode, you don't really want to hear what your loved ones have to say or the support that they want to give. I think you really look and depend on the women around you and how they hold you up. I mean, I think that's what I was craving. I have friends and that are amazing at doing that, but I really need someone to understand me from a business point of view, what it meant to lose money, what it meant to actually feel this way. And that's why I went about in creating this whole platform.
What was the relationship like between you and your spouse when you were developing this concept at the beginning stages?
I mean, the relationship, he's my sounding board. Like literally, like if I have an idea, I'll put it on him and he would tell me, okay, that sounds great. This doesn't sound great. Do this, do that. And I think, you know, in the moments of when you are, like I said, in that tunnel vision and you're building and, you know, it's your vision and not everyone gets that 100%. But he's always been 100% supportive. You know, he's got the kids. He helps me where I can't do things. But he's just that sounding board for me. You know, when I need that help or I need that little bit of advice, I go to him and he's able to kind of, you know, help me pull through the phase that I'm in.
I'm going to go back and forth a little bit here with the questions because I want to know lots about you. And I want to ask you is how important, I mean, you're very experienced, you're a mum of 4, you've been married for a long time, you've been doing this for a very long time. How important is it to have a spouse that understands a wife's dream?
I always say this, and a lot of women that we come in contact with are married women. And also on the other hand, we do have women that aren't married yet. And all I say is that whether you have a husband or not, have that support network. Having a support network is super important because they hold you up in the moments where you're feeling low. They empower you in the moments where you feel disempowered. But most importantly, it's just having that safe space where you can be held and you can be nurtured through this journey. So with specifically to me, having a husband, it's really important that, you know, that we both understood that my business is not going to take away from the responsibilities of me being a wife and a mother. In fact, it's going to enhance it because I have something that I am doing, that I have that outlet, something I enjoy, that I'm building. And also, you know, it's really important that my children see me do something and be in these elements and see their dad supporting me in doing what I'm doing. So a support network is always a must. And if you are married, then just having the support of, I always say the men are our allies because once they're with you and they support you, it just makes the whole journey a lot more easier.
You hit many nails on their head there. I mean, men are allies. And I feel like in so many cultures within our communities, we have a lot of bridges to actually build with being who we are as Muslim females in the business industry. And also having our men with us without feeling like there's a divide or feeling like, oh, I have an idea and I have to do this by myself. So thank you so much for sharing that. I mean, you just said also as well, you have children and it's you showing them that it is possible. How does that feel for you as a mom, having 4 children? How many daughters do you have? Sorry, Jennifer.
I have 2 boys and 2 girls.
Wow, look at that, mashallah. So how important is it to show up as a role model to your young children?
I think it's super important, especially now where representation matters. And representation for me always starts at home. And, you know, we don't always have to be busy in order for us to be a role model. But what I do say is that we should always be inspiring. And what keeps me inspired is always thinking about my legacy and remembering the legacy that I'm trying to build and leave for my children. Another thing that drives me is the fact that I don't want to be having these same conversations in like 10 years' time when my girls are ready to be entrepreneurs and married women, or my sons are married to women who want to be entrepreneurs and having to navigate that. I want that to be the normal conversation. I want it to be the norm. So that's why the work that I do now is super important. But in saying that, I'm also a big, big advocate of showing my children when I'm tired, when I'm vulnerable, when I'm emotional, because all of these things make me as a woman. It's not always constantly the strong female. Sometimes we have our moments, and sometimes our moments last for days. And I want to be real. I want to show them that no matter who you are, no matter what labels that people put upon you, you can still be the vulnerable woman that Allah made us to be.
Again, like, so many things we can dissect here, being a woman, being human, having emotions. I think also nowadays, Jennifer, disagree with me if you want or give in your opinion, we showcase this false idea of what it means to be strong as a woman in the business field, at home, and showing up in our true essence. And you just said it's like showing them the real side of you, every part, so they don't get a, how do you say, an illusion that it's all happy, go, right?
Absolutely. And I think what you just said is the business world is so masculine. It's masculine energy. It's dominated by men. And alongside that, we also have been shown images of women that are constantly in these power suits, that are strong, that are, you know, these women that don't break. But actually, from the examples that we have in the history of Islam, we know that our women are vulnerable. We know that they can be strong. We know that they can be empowering. But what that looks like is relative to each person. And there is no one fit image for being a successful businesswoman. Whatever it means to you is how you show up for yourself, your business, and your family.
Do you think in modern society we don't have much representation of the people from the past, like the females from the history, to show up of what it can be done for us as well? Do you think we've neglected some parts of that as well?
Absolutely. I think we've neglected parts of it, all of it, in fact, because we're looking at current role models. We're looking at current examples. We're looking at the people who we know on social media and in the news and stuff like that. But for us as Muslim women, it's so imperative that we go back to the roots. The very first woman that took her shahada in Islam, the powerful tradeswoman that she was, the richest tradeswoman that she was, but yet she was still able to be herself, a mother, a wife, for the most powerful man of his time, and still being able to navigate the world of business. And I think when we go back and we look at each of the mothers of the believers, they owned what they wanted to do respectively in their right. They didn't compromise on what they believed.
Jennifer, I'm so sorry. We're going to go on break. Please join us in literally under a minute, and we're going to continue this conversation.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Welcome back, and I would love to hear your advice, your opinion. Just text us if you have anything to add to this conversation, and you can do that on 075-858-35150. I'm going to go straight back to Jennifer. I interrupted you so abruptly. Please continue what you were saying about the Islamic role models that we don't really hear much about nowadays.
I just think that, you know, what you touched upon before the break was super important in, you know, knowing our role models, emulating them, but really understanding who they were and what they stood for, the legacy that they were building and trying to leave. I think only then we can understand our role in society as a woman, as a businesswoman, as a wife, as a mother, and all the other roles that we have. But we can't understand it if we don't remind ourselves of the history of the women that we call the mothers of the believers.
You know, one of the things that me and my friends continue to speak about as I've grown up as well, it's this lie that we've been living in Western society with this one word, feminism. And now I see how conflicting it is culturally growing up, and looking at the females from the past, the role models that, it encourages females to have a business. It encourages us to be independent and all these kind of stuff. And Western feminism does clash with my opinions culturally, emotionally, spiritually, and so many levels of religion as well. How did you find that? Did you find it, first of all, conflicting with your ideas and your opinions?
I didn't. And I think this is where people get shocked. I think when people first hear about what I do and what I stand for, they automatically think that I'm a feminist. And they think that I'm so pro-women, I'm anti-men. But actually, I am pro-women because our religion is pro-women. But I'm definitely not anti-men. And I think when we start to look at what feminism actually means, the history, why it was created, what those women wanted to achieve, then we'll start to see a bit of conflict in what we believe in as Muslim women, or even just as you rightfully said, me as an African woman, what I've been taught growing up, as an African woman is completely different to the Western views and what they try to put upon us. But again, it's about understanding what the history of Islam is, looking at what examples we have, and just really starting to understand ourselves. I think that's the key. Not a lot of women understand themselves before they try to be something that they don't even know about.
I absolutely love that. You're just giving it. These are truth bombs. And I pray that for anybody who's joining us, you can take something good out of this. And if you are, we all have dreams. If you are working on something, just go out and do it, because there are some hidden role models out there like Jennifer. And like she said, go and find out who you are, what you're doing. Going off from that one conversation of feminism and everything, we have this huge debate of what is the idea of feminism. Does Kim Kardashian represent being an empowered woman? Do you represent an empowered woman? What is your understanding of feminist and empowering female? What do you think, in your opinion, what is the difference between the two?
I think there's a difference between the two. For me personally, I think empowerment is not just about the way we look or the things that we possess or, the things I've built. Empowerment is about understanding emotional intelligence. Empowerment is understanding communication. Empowerment is understanding of who I am as Jennifer, what I do, the legacy I'm building, what I'm trying to leave behind for my children. Whereas the feminism that we see in regards to Kim Kardashian and, of the likes, it's more about, body and, what we look like and what we could look like, what I should look like, what is everything wrong with me. And, my thing is, who said that women like Kim Kardashian are the role models of what I should look like? They have people who she appeals to, but someone like me who covers, who dresses a particular way, who my morals are completely different, my values are completely different. For me, that's not feminism. For me, feminism is not being able, but knowing that I'm a rib and I'm a bit bent and I'm not supposed to be completely straight up, as I'll break. For me, that is understanding who I am as a woman.
I love your explanation there, because I feel like a lot of people, when they see females running a business, automatically it's about, you're feminist, you only stand for females. And it's far more behind the scenes. It's about how you show up. And it's also about how you show up for other females around you, because it takes one person in a headscarf or a niqab to give other people from that same background permission to be able to say, oh, wow, if she can do it, I can do it. And I think that is a message you are trying to embody with this business and this concept.
Absolutely. And, you just touched on it. It's not about what we look like. It's not about that. It's not about what I wear or how I wear it. And if I wear it and if I don't wear it, it's not about that. For me, business is business. Business is how I conduct myself professionally. Business is about how I, deal with my transactions. Business is how I give the customers that I come in contact with a different user experience. That's what business is for me. Now, if you want to talk about me as a Muslim woman, then I'm completely different to a businesswoman. And the reason why I say that is because even in Islam, in that book of hadiths, Allah has given us a whole book on business. If this was meant to be diluted in the way that people deal with it now, we wouldn't have a whole book on it, in the etiquettes, the way to do business, how to do business, what is permissible, what isn't permissible. People miss these things, you know, and sometimes I'm just like, if you want to create the perfect user experience, go back to the hadiths, because the Prophet ﷺ and Allah has put in those books the things that we can do differently as Muslim business people to the way that the whole world does it. And for me, that's what gives us a unique experience in when I'm dealing with business.
So this goes to the next one beautifully. I mean, Islam says one thing, and it says the correct way of doing things is what we should be following. And then we have culture. Culture, like my parents are Bangladeshi. We come from a society, go to work, get married, have children, that's it. There's no sort of encouragement to run your business, to run a organization, to run a community. Did you find there was a conflict with culture and religion when you showed up in your business?
I think the only conflict that there was, and this was just me being completely honest, was people in the community thought I was here to take their wives or their daughters away from their responsibilities of being, you know, in the house and having children and stuff like that. Whereas actually, the conversation I'm having all the time is, let's look at how this woman being a businesswoman enhances that. So for me, in my culture, it's completely different, because yes, we're big on education, and yes, we're big on, you know, getting married and having children. But actually, in my culture, being an entrepreneur is something that we see all over my country, right? We see women that are, you know, selling jewelry, selling clothes, selling bags, wherever it is. But we have these these figureheads in our community. Whereas I find that when you come into other cultures, and, you know, we've dealt with different sisters in these, that, you know, it's completely different. And that's okay, because all it is unpacking what is not correct and packing it back with nurture, packing it back with education, and letting her know that it's okay, that it's safe to be the woman who you want to be without compromising on your culture and without compromising on your values.
That's very an insight for me as well, though, because what I see in the South Asian community is it's a very much patriarchal society. And then you just said there, growing up in your community, it's more or less seeing females being boss ladies, may I say so, whether they're selling jewelry or wherever they're selling. So it's predominantly something that you've grown up with, you've seen, you've been nurtured with, so it encourages you. The females that you work with, are they from a mixed background, like ethnic and race-wise, or is it mainly African, or is it South Asian females?
So we work with a big, massive mix of women. A lot of our women are from the South Asian community, but we also service a lot of women from the African community, the Caribbean community. But, you know, what I love the most about working with these different communities is seeing the shift, in seeing the change, in seeing the examples that they want to leave behind. But yeah, we work with such a wide range of women. And you know what, it's so heartwarming to see that we can attract such a big, diverse community.
What's the most rewarding part of what you're doing at the moment?
Honestly, Nazia, the most rewarding part is when I'm sitting down and I'm doubting myself. You know, can I do this any longer? I'm tired. You know, my children need me more. You know, am I neglecting the house? And then I get that message, or I get that email that says, you know, thank you so much for putting on that event, or for, you know, answering my emails, that, you know, you've given me the confidence. I've been able to take my family on my first trip away because of the money that we've made with the business. Those are the things that honestly get me so emotional, because sometimes when you're in business, you don't realize the impact that you're creating, or the impact that, you know, that you're having upon others. And it's in those moments that Allah reminds me that I have to keep going. I have to keep striving and keep being there for the sisters who want to be seen. Because other than that, who is our representative? Who is speaking for us? Who is showing up for us in the way that we need them to show up?
That is, I mean, it's very touching. I can hear your passion in your work that you do. And I think passion is something that keeps you going, the sustainability of the thing that you're trying to do. And there's something bigger here for you to actually establish. I know you said before there's a lot of single females in the organization and that are actually looking to run their own businesses and stuff. What's one advice you can give to the single sisters out there for them to carry on or to continue doing something?
I think my advice would be that despite what people tell you, hurry up and do this before you get married and hurry up and do that before you get married. Think of it as building the foundation for when your husband does come, that he's joining you upon something that is already a solid foundation. The worst thing that we want to do is build a business upon something that isn't strong, and then you have somebody that you don't know that you're learning about and dealing with. Then it kind of throws you off. But just understand that you're building a foundation for the support system to come and continue to build itself upon that. So it's just about being patient and trusting yourself in the journey is also really important.
We are actually going to be going on break in literally under 30 seconds, but I want to encourage everybody who's watching this. If you're a female who's running a business or doing something that's similar, please let us know what's been your highs, your lows. We want to hear from you. So see you in a very short while.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us again. Today's guest is Jennifer and the topic is about the life of a Muslim female entrepreneur. It will be amazing to hear from you guys on 075-85835-150. And we're going to head back to Jennifer with the second part or the third part. I can't remember now. Jennifer, thank you so much. I've learned so much from you and I wish I had people like you, females like you, when I was going through designing my own programs or working on myself or trying to do something that wasn't the 9 to 5, the normal expectation of a Bangladeshi Muslim Asian female. And the question I have for you now, do you think there is a lot of cultural expectations on a woman, not just a woman, but a Muslim woman, no matter what background she's from? Jennifer, can you hear me? Okay, I think Jennifer's frozen, so we're gonna have to give her a call back. But today's show, we're discussing the life of a Muslim female entrepreneur. We have covered so much. Jennifer has given me so much insight into about running a house, being a mother, being a wife, and also running a large organization for sisters in business. It's important that we have these discussions so we can actually show up for females that need us, the next generation or this generation of females. If we empower a woman in a household, we empower her family, her children, and a community. I can't remember exactly what the saying was, but somebody did say to me once, educate a woman and you educate the village. And I think that saying has stayed with me for such a long time. I think we got Jennifer back. Hi.
I don't know what happened, but yeah, I'm back now.
Not now. What my question was, we have a lot of cultural expectations, not just from a female from a different background, but as a Muslim cultural expectation. What do you think those expectations are, first of all, and why do you think we have those expectations?
Gosh, I think the expectations range from culture to culture, but things like, just being at home, having the babies, looking after the family, homeschooling, just the typical view of what, is put upon us as Muslim women. But again, I think it just differs from culture to culture, because something in somebody else's culture that is, is looked down upon for a woman to be out of her home. Whereas in my culture, it's celebrated that a woman, is got her hustle on and, looking after the family, etc., etc. So I just think that culture expectations differs around the world.
Yeah. We also have like a lot of people struggling with marriage. Loads of issues that are coming up in society now. Marrying very young, divorcing very young, marrying, divorcing, going back and forth. What can you share with us from your own experience of what makes a successful marriage personally for you?
I mean, I'm one of those ones that married quite young. I got married when I was 18, and alhamdulillah, we're still here 16 years later. But when I'm asked this question, I always think back to, what truly kept our marriage going. And I think on my part and a lot on his part was patience. Patience in the journey, patience in understanding that we're two completely different people that have joined forces together, and we have a lot of learning to do. And I am by no way perfect, but I know that it's a lot of patience that has got me this far, alhamdulillah. But yeah, it's just about having patience, not just with each other, but also with yourself. I think is also really important.
That's another golden gem you just dropped. A lot of us are not patient with ourselves. The moment you start something, we all seek this instant gratification. And in business, it's the same as relationship. It's the same with your own growth. Everything needs patience, right?
Definitely. I think you said instant gratification, but I always say validation. We're constantly seeking validation from other people. Is what I'm doing right? Is it okay? Is it enough? And I think that's where we go wrong. I think once you are firm in trusting the journey within yourself, listening to the intuition, I always say that Allah has given us these things as women. It's our superpower. Yeah. We need to listen to it, craft it, nurture it, so that it becomes the second voice for you, for your inner self. And I think only then, when we're able to look at ourselves and validate ourselves first before anybody else can, is when things will truly start to shift and change. And I'm speaking from experience that honestly, the moment I stopped seeking validation from the husband, from my kids, from the family, is when things truly started to shift and change for me.
I love speaking to you, honestly, because I resonate so much of the things that you're saying with my own journey. And it starts from a young age. It starts from how we are brought up in those different cultures. And I struggle with self-doubt, self-belief being the key word here. And we can literally rewire that. And like I said, females have the gifts. Allah's given us the intuition. This is our secret power. And I hope you guys are listening to this, because you have to learn about yourself to understand what you want, get clarity within yourself, whatever situation or the circumstances are, right?
Definitely. And I think to the brothers and the men listening out there, what I'm saying is not that, that we have to go against you. What I'm saying is that working together, we can create a powerful force. The Muslim community can be one of the richest communities. In fact, I think we are one of the richest communities. Our businesses contribute so much to the economy. But what the issue is that we're not united in who we stand with and what we stand for. We're not united in that. And part of that, like you said, Nadia, is coming down to that self-belief and that self-doubt. And in understanding that, yes, the man is the head, but we're the neck. And we can control things in a particular way, in the way that Allah has given us those moments. But just being a woman that can stand tall, that can own what she says with her chest and believes in the things that she does, will completely move the needle in the way that us as Muslim women is perceived, covered or not. We all battle the same things, but how we deal with it has to come first from the self-belief in what you're doing.
See, it's the conviction, how you speak, that is so striking about what you're telling and sharing with us. And without the missing ingredients, we are forever seeking. We're forever seeking that validation with our looks, with our work, with our studies, everything. So thank you so much. It's so beautifully said, Jennifer. We have a question, a message. I'm just going to read it out. Thank you for messaging us and taking the time to message us as well. Salam, Nazia and female entrepreneur Jennifer. It is so nice to have the show back after a few weeks away. It is so nice to be back. Thank you for joining us. I hope you two had a nice Eid, alhamdulillah. Nice name is Sister in Business, and that speaks for itself, I guess, as well. You mentioned that you get along with your partner, alhamdulillah. You say men and women are allies. My question is, what advice would you give to a guy whose partner is in a high-level job, such as she is a nurse, doctor, police officer, or teacher, or in general working? How could he be supportive?
Gosh, and I think when I hear questions like this, first of all, I have to think about sometimes as women, and I'm just going to be completely real, yeah? Sometimes as women, we demasculate our men, yeah? And that can come subconsciously and also consciously. And what I always say is look, it's not about the job that she's doing or how much money that she's making, okay? It's about how you both communicate to each other the vulnerabilities that you feel in the fact that she may be in a higher position than you, or she's bringing in more money than you. I think it's in those moments is when the communication has to be handled so delicately, and understand that, you know, the income that both of you bring in is sadaqah into your household, number one. The fact that maybe she might earn a little bit more than you doesn't mean that you are any less of a man. In fact, the fact that you were able to stand beside her and support her in her moments of studying for that degree or studying to get into that job and persevering with her and building her resilience, but also being there to hold her in the moments where she just feels like she wants to give up. I think that in itself is all the support that you are giving, and you're supporting her in the best way that you can. And the reason why I say that you can, because support looks different for different people. What support looks like to me is completely different to another person. And what support looks like for you, Nadia, is completely different to what it looks like to, you know, to another person. But what is important is that you're giving her the capacity. Mashallah tabarakallah, you're giving her the space to grow, the space to be in the career that she wants to be. So, you know, you are supporting her, but you just didn't realize that you was. And I hope that in this moment that you realize that you have been giving her the support that you knew how to give her in those moments. And I hope that answered the question.
Beautifully explained, in my opinion. I hope that answered the question to the viewer. One interesting topic, and I said this again and again, and I'm going to say it. I love Jennifer. I love her passion. I love her enthusiasm. I just found out Jennifer's been running her business for 4 years. And the beautiful thing that I noticed when I connected with her was the award that she won. And now she's been nominated for another one. Jennifer, how do you feel about this?
Goodness, Nazia. You know what? I'm busy giving out awards because we have our own awards show. And, you know, it's just, now I know what they feel like when they've won something, right? Like, there's just this automatic feeling of people finally get what it is I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to build, the impact that we're trying to have on, you know, on the community. And I think now that it's starting to resonate with people. People are starting to get it. So it just feels great.
We will be going on another break, our last break, and I just want to say, wow, what a mind-blowing conversation I have had with Jennifer so far. This is your last chance to message us on 075 85 835 150. the life of a Muslim female entrepreneur. I think the azan's going off in London in a few minutes or so. So we shall see you back in a very short while for the last segment. Stay tuned.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live. With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.
And welcome back to the last segment of the show.
You know, to be able, and, you know, seeing the excitement on my children's faces and seeing, you know, the proud face of my husband and, you know, just my family just looking on and just seeing me as I'm the only Muslim in my family and just seeing me that, you know, my faith hasn't taken anything away from me being as successful as I am.
Wow. Yeah, and listen, we have to praise ourselves for the work that we do, because this work isn't for the light-hearted. It's not for the person that can just say, okay, it's not for me. You have to keep persevering when it's a gift that Allah gives to every single one of us, and we have to serve and re-serve again and again. So congratulations on that. Honestly, you should be so proud of yourself.
And you know what, Nazi, I just want to say that people will look at what we've built and what we've done and think that it was overnight. But I just want to say that it's 4 years of hard work, 4 years of, you know, the ups and downs, 4 years of a lot of the highlights and a lot of the lows. So just be patient. And I think my journey that has brought me to where I am now is because I have trusted in that. I have trusted myself, and I've also put my trust in Allah to bring me to this point as well. So I just really want to say that, because I think a lot of people see things and think this is they're only now seeing this, but you miss the beginning and you miss the middle. And inshallah, you know, we all get to be in the end together, inshallah.
See, I love this. It's just the transparency of the conversation, because we sugarcoat a lot of the lows. We don't speak about this, but anything that is yours, Allah will test us along the way, and then Allah makes it easy and more easy, and then you have more people coming on the bandwagon, and then it becomes unhappy.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm sorry, I'm going to take on another question. It was part 2 of the first one. To the viewer who messaged in, thank you so much. And Jennifer explained it so beautifully of how men can support their wives. It's not just wives, we're talking about sisters, we're talking about mum, your daughters, how you can encourage the Muslim females to do and work for themselves as well. The second part of this is, you say the work world is mostly men. So it is important that the woman wants to work, she has a supportive people around you. Yes, 100% true. You did say both you and your partners are entrepreneurs. My thought is, we spoke about Muslim women in jobs and role models. Many females seem to prefer a female driving instructor. If she's Muslim, she can help other Muslim ladies learn how to drive manual or automatic. It's good to see Muslim women have this job, for example. I think that what she's trying to say, or he's trying to say, is, like I think I pointed this out before, we give other females a permission to show up when we show up in what we're doing and having the courage to do it, right?
100%. And I think it's this. I love that last part of that, of what you read out, because it goes to show that there is an understanding in the community that without sisters being visible, without sisters showing up, there cannot be services for sisters who are looking for sisters to give them those services. Yeah, that was a bit of a mouthful, but I hope you got it. Because it's really important that we see that if you are the family that wants to be seen by only female doctors, by only Muslim female doctors, then we have to encourage and we have to nurture the young women growing up now into those roles. We cannot use Islam as a weapon against them to say that, you know, we should fear Allah, this is not permissible. In fact, one of my best examples of our mothers of the believers was the Prophet's wife, Aisha, may Allah be pleased with her. And when she really said that she wanted to take on the role of being the person that notes down everything the Prophet ﷺ said, and she wanted to document it, and she did not let anything limit her in doing that. Yeah. So she knew what she wanted. She knew how she was going to do it, and she executed in doing that. And this is what she's known for. She's one of the female scholars of her time. Now, where the issue comes with us is we know what we want to do. We know how we want to get there, but yet we seek everybody else's permission before we go and do it. Yeah. What I started to say to myself was, and this was not in no disrespect to my husband or anything else, but what I said was, actually, I'm not seeking your permission. I'm looking for your support. Those are completely different statements. They manifest themselves completely differently, and it also sets the tone for what you want to build completely differently too. So sometimes the power of words and how we use them and how we speak them is with complete power. It completely changes the trajectory of where it is that you want to go. And we know this because we know the power of dua. Dua is using your words to ask Allah for the things that you want. So we have to understand that our words, even in everyday speech, it manifests itself in one way or another. So let's be careful in how we are setting the tone of going about doing what we want to do.
There's a few things I want to pick up on. Language, a Prophet, peace be upon him, his wives. All of these things was done at a time when they had very, very little resources. Nowadays, we are spoiled. Click of a finger, we can start a business with the website. Click of a finger, we have Instagram. We got so many methods of promoting ourselves. So really and truly for me then, and from my own experience, is what you said there is what other people will say about us. It's a fear of judgment. But it's also this innate fear of, will I be successful? And those people who are on the fence to go ahead with their business, what would you say from your experience was a push to say, okay, this is me, I'm taking ownership back for myself. Like you said, you didn't ask for permission, you just went and did it.
I think the difference is I knew what I wanted. Yeah. I knew how I wanted to get there, but I didn't allow the judgment to stop me. I didn't allow the pushback to stop me. And I also understood that there would be pushback and there would be judgment. And in how I navigate that would be the make or break of me too. So I think, there are so many things as women or just as people in general, right, that will stop us. Again, one of the things is weaponizing Islam, people telling you that you should fear Allah, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that. Actually, as long as you know what you're doing is in line with the values of Islam and what you follow, then sis, there is nothing that should stop you. One thing that changed me in going to get what I wanted to get was my mindset. And what I started to look at was not how successful the person was, but rather what was their mindset that made them successful. That's what I look at, and that's what drives me. And this is what I tell anybody else that looks at the things that I do and the things that I've accomplished. Don't look at what I've done. Ask me, what was my mindset that got me there in the first place?
I love you. It's so inspiring speaking to you. It's actually refreshing speaking to you as well. I want to ask you, we're going to come to the end of the show very, very shortly. You wear like multiple hats. You're a mom, you are a wife, you're somebody's daughter, you're somebody's wife. What is the hardest part of juggling all those roles for you then?
The hardest part of me juggling everything is when I believe that I'm unbreakable, when I believe that I don't need rest, that I can keep going, that I believe that me missing lunch is going to do me is going to get me further than what eating lunch will actually do. And the reason why I say that is because I've had moments where you take everything on and you're dealing with everything. And then you know that you're going to end up not literally breaking, but you're breaking apart. My cup is becoming empty. And it's in those moments that I stop and I have to remind myself that actually, Jennifer, it's okay to be vulnerable right now. It's okay for you to have no motivation. You just need to keep going.
Jennifer, I'm going to interrupt you there. Thank you for sharing that. We actually have a call from Canada. Hi, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I didn't actually know about this live feed until I logged on to Facebook. So I just thought I'd call in. I had a quick look at what was going on, and it's very inspiring to listen to Sister Jennifer. I am a Brit, as you can tell from my accent. I'm living in Canada for the past 10 years or so. But mashallah, everything she said is, you know, very inspiring, mashallah. And I like the fact that she doesn't leave deen out of it. And I just wanted to add my 2 cents to what she's saying in regard to culture versus deen. Culture versus Islam. And here's the thing. I mean, cultures come in different colors. There are good things, good aspects to culture, and not so good things, not so good aspects to culture, which conflict with Islam. So what we should focus on is drawing from the cultural beauty, but also staying within the guidelines of Islam, but being inspired by Islam as well, by Islamic history. And that when we look at ourselves as women who are going into business, I think the best example to look to is Hazrat Bibi Khadija radiallahu anha. Right? So she was a businesswoman, and she was, in fact, her business was more successful than all of the men of Mecca. I don't know how many people know this, but her business was the most successful. And part of the success was that she used her brain. She was a business entrepreneur. She was a very smart businesswoman because she didn't actually have to go out and work 2 or 3 jobs or work for anyone. She had people working for her. She didn't have to go out and engage with men. She didn't have to go out and do the legwork herself. She employed people to do that work for her. And subhanAllah, I liked what Jennifer said about when you marry someone or before you get married, to embark upon a business idea or a business venture so that when you enter marriage, you know, you can actually build on that foundation that you've built so far because you are joining another person. And this is what Hazrat Bibi Khadija radiallahu anha did. She was a successful businesswoman before she married the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And he joined her. There was no element of pride or arrogance as a man in him to.
I'm so sorry. We have actually run out of time, and it is such a sad reality. We had a call right at the end. But I just want to say thank you so much to the caller. I really appreciate that. Jennifer, you have been an amazing, amazing guest. If you guys have any questions, please join us for the next show. For me, Nazia Kachin, along with the whole team at British Muslim TV. Thank you for joining us. Assalamu alaikum.
With 3 million members searching, SingleMuslim.com proudly sponsors Single Muslim Live.